Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and man, this is a crazy story, and this is a fun one. I brought on a special guest. So happy to have her. LindsayGlazer's on the phone. Lindsay, are you there?
I'm here. What's up?
Awesome. So happy to have Lindsay. For those that don't know, Lindsay, good friend of mine. She's a criminal defense attorney and comedian. She's the alpha bitch. Look her up at LindsayGlazer. You're looking at her Twitter right here, as well as LindsayGlazer.com to check out her tours, concerts. Thank you so much for coming, Lindsay.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
This story is just crazy, and I was going to talk about it, but I thought it'd be fun to have more of a legal expert on this because this story is just blowing my mind. We talked about it before you went on, but for those who aren't familiar, let's just recap this article. Hollywood Reporter had this as an exclusive, but James Dean is being reborn in CGI for Vietnam War action drama. Which is crazy because he's been dead since 1955. He was 24. It was a huge tragedy. Only made about 4 films. But now, or this will be his 4th film. Obviously, Rebel Without a Cause, East of Eden, has been posthumously cast in the Vietnamese-era action drama Finding Jack. That's just a very weird sentence. I didn't expect to hear that James Dean would be cast in a Vietnam-era action drama. But apparently the project comes from the filmmakers' own recently launched production house, Magic City Films, which obtained the rights to use Dean's image from his family. Canadian VFX banner Imagine Engine will be working alongside South African VFX company MOI Worldwide to recreate what the filmmakers describe as a realistic version of James Dean. Finding Jack is based on the existence and abandonment of more than 10,000 military dogs at the end of the Vietnam War. Dean will play a character called Rogan, considered a secondary lead role. And this quote, also very weird. We searched high and low for the perfect character to portray the role of Rogan, which has some extreme complex character arcs. And after months of research, we decided on James Dean. We feel very honored that his family supports us and will take every precaution to ensure that his legacy as one of the most epic film stars to date is kept firmly intact. The family views this as his 4th movie, a movie he never got to make. We do not intend to let his fans down. While the film will be live action, Hollywood Reporter understands that Dean's performance will be constructed via full-body CGI using actual footage and photos. Another actor will voice him. This is crazy. The most...
So crazy.
And just to add, because I'm at the end of the article, but the thing that was even more disturbing for me, and then I want to get your thoughts on this, Lindsay, because there's so many questions I have. But the manager sort of says, this opens up a whole new opportunity for many of our clients who are no longer with us, said Mark Rossler, which represents Dean's family, alongside more than 1,700 entertainment, sports, music, and historical personalities, including Burt Reynolds, Christopher Reeve, Ingrid Bergman, Neil Armstrong, Betty Davis, and Jack Lemmon. Our partners in South Africa are very excited about this, as this technology would also be employed down the line to recreate historical icons such as Nelson Mandela to tell stories of cultural heritage significance. Now that we have closed with this iconic figure, we look forward to rapidly closing our remaining actors. Oh my God, this is scary.
It's crazy.
So,
it's like the beginning of a robot era.
Exactly. I'm just curious because, my instinct, and I want to get your feeling, like, this seems really dangerous. I mean, I understand the family wants to sort of keep the legend going, right, and keep him working in a weird way, but this is clearly not his performance. And then it opens up this whole can of worms of how does an actor now protect himself in the future, and who gets to sort of sign off on the rights of these actors? What's your insight on that, Lindsay?
There's so much confusion because now you have a roster of dead actors who are voiced by other alive actors, and whose intellectual property is it? I mean, the first thing I always think when I hear any of this stuff is follow the money. Hollywood's trying to avoid paying. So I want to know, do they tell you how much they paid for the rights to James Dean?
No, of course. I mean, that would be fascinating to know, but I'm sure they don't want to admit that, because if it's low, then it's like, well, that was not worth it. And if it's high, they seem like they're just taking the money, right? I don't see how they can win by admitting that.
My guess is it's low, and that's why they're doing it. I mean, you have James Dean, cast in the Vietnam War thing. It's like, why? But why? They're like, in all the millions and millions of actors who are working for no money already, you couldn't find anyone more perfect than an already dead James Dean?
Yeah, and it's like also weird because it's like if this was like a lost film he did, and it's like black and white, and there was a bunch of lost footage, and like maybe I could see the family like
Right.
Paul Walker in Fast and the Furious, like, okay, like this was something he wanted to do, but this idea
this
now
was his enterprise. This was something he was already doing. We're finishing it the way they finished Harper Lee's novel.
But this literally sounds like there's just some old war movie about dogs, and they're like, you know what? Let's put James Dean in it. And it's just, it makes no sense. I mean, I guess he
Oh,
might have
it
liked
sounds
dogs, but I
Oh,
don't know
God.
where does this draw the line? And then it's like, for someone like James Dean, he may not care. He's dead. So who knows? He might want his family to be better off anyway. And so it's no big deal. My question then is like, I guess, I don't know. I want to, and if anybody watching or anyone can help us get this insight, I'm curious, is this do we think this is already in contracts? Like managers and
I don't
agents?
know. It sounds like rebel without a clause. I haven't heard of it before, but I mean, there's all sorts of implications here, like from an intellectual property standpoint, from a trust and estate standpoint, like a commercial image standpoint. This would be like the most complicated contract ever.
Right, and then it's like it feels like there should be a new law that almost puts in place to allow living actors to stipulate now while alive that yes, you can do this. It seems odd for the family to be able to make that call once the actor's dead.
Well, I mean, it is weird, right? But the estate of a family can make the call, like for other things, like if there's like if you have like probate or you have a person who's like the manager of an estate. But I mean, the whole thing makes my head spin.
Yeah, I mean, this started with the Tupac Shakur hologram, right? They've been doing this for a while, so it's like, it's weird. That one's sort of, he's playing his music, right? And they took sort of footage from a concert, and it's like, all right, well, it's just like, it's a live concert footage, is what it seems like. And while people were losing their minds about those holograms, that was less jarring to me than like starring James Dean, and then a voice actor and a bunch of CGI artists are now recreating the role and counting it as his fourth film. That to me is the line, and clearly others online. Chris Evans was sort of the most vocal celebrity. He quoted on Twitter, "I'm sure he'd be thrilled. This is awful. Maybe we can get a computer to paint us a new Picasso or write a couple new John Lennon tunes." The complete lack of understanding is shameful.
It's weird. The whole thing. I mean, the movie sounds like it'll be a total car wreck, train wreck.
But as you said, rebel without a clause is a very good way to look at it. I mean, I would think now. So in your expertise, obviously, it seems like that's something that the estate would be in control of. If of an old actor, they would have the rights, correct?
If you think about the way estate is done, the person who manages the estate can make decisions about money and like custody stuff and things and property. But you're asking an estate to make decisions about the commercial release or the use of an image of someone already dead. So it's like a proxy, but then what? You use James Dean in perpetuity, forever, and now Hollywood doesn't have to pay anyone. With so many things are problematic here.
Right, because I remember they brought back Fred Astaire as well for like a commercial.
Right, and Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of sort of frustration and people reacting to sort of him doing that commercial. For the vacuum cleaner, it was the Dirt Devil or something that he did. Here it is. I'm playing it as we talk.
Dirt Devil broom back sweeps and picks up dirt in one easy motion.
It's just
you'll never have to stoop to using a dustpan again.
But I guess there was one where they brought him back. I guess this might have been the original, but the point being, like, there were certain instances where they did sort of bring back the actor in the sort of the look of the movie they were in. Where I'm now really sketched out is like, I understand an estate, like, all right, well, we own Rebel Without a Cause, like we own, or the performance he did, right? Or we own Tupac Shakur's music library and his concert footage. Okay, we can use that in a thing. But now
that makes sense.
Yeah,
but now you're asking a futuristic predict stuff, right? So
yeah.
Marilyn Monroe dies. No, people have rights. Her estate has rights, or whoever has rights to her commercial image, or her her selling herself or whatever. But now, like, you're going to take Marilyn Monroe and stick her in a movie and say that's like, now you have to decide, is a CGI digital image your property? Is it your intellectual property? Doesn't count as like a commercial image of you. Can your state give the permission to use a commercial image of you? Is that a financial? Are you now a prop? Are you, as a digital image, a prop? Are you defined as a human being? Are you there's a lot of stuff in business about whether like a corporation can be defined as a person based on how like you can sue them. And that's this in another format. Is this person now defined as a human, or is their CGI image a property? I mean, that's the first question you're going to have to answer.
Right. Because James Dean is a brand, right?
Right. James Dean's a brand. What if James Dean was opposed to war? Like, then you're putting him then like you're putting him in some like war. I mean, or like who was it who protest Jane Fonda?
Yep.
Or like wait, God forbid, like she dies, she's still alive, and then they put her in a bunch of like pro Vietnam wars, or like James Dean was against. Well, what if you're having, you know, what if you take his digital image and you're like, you know what I think he'd be great in playing, you know, in the documentary about this pedophile who went to, you know, and his whole, and now you're taking whatever his brand was and inserting your own pink. It's almost like what are those videos called now?
The deep fakes, right? That's what
deep fakes.
Yeah.
You were reading my mind. Yes.
I was about to ask because we are in for a massive awakening.
It's like
it's the technologies,
from beyond.
Well, because I keep thinking like, you know, they're going to eventually, Clint Eastwood's going to die and they're going to want to do another Dirty Harry. And then the technology in 10, 20 years.
You bite your tongue. Clint Eastwood's not going to die.
But he is. And then in 20 years when he's dead, and someone's going to say, you know what? Why don't we just do Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood? And they're going to CGI some young Clint Eastwood and do it, right?
However, I can see good applications for this because what about like in pornography? What if you can take a digital image of an old person and now you don't have, and you can use it to eliminate sex trafficking or something like that.
It's okay. Yeah, you took it. That's an interesting
in a
place.
weird way. I mean, about this because I'm criminal defense attorney, right?
Yeah, I just think that there needs to be now clearer conversations, right, about this issue because this to me is just a very weird thing that now we need to be prepared for.
Define is your CGI image of you plus like Afterlife Property, or a person.
And that's something one could put in a clause in their sort of will and testament, correct? Like one could say, I don't want my vision to be used in anything commercial in any future. Like that is something a person could do.
But like you can do that. You can have a contract for things that don't exist. Like I can have a contract that no one can ever use my image in a movie made in 30,000 years from now. But how could I predict stuff that doesn't happen? You know, we thought we were gonna have flying cars like the Jetsons now.
Right.
We don't have the ability. So what? Someone before they're dead is supposed to somehow, crystal ball the future from what they don't want to be used in. I mean, it's okay for the estate to decide property and finances, but is it morally and ethically okay for the estate of someone to presume they knew what the person wants in the future after their death?
Right.
Death, because that's really what you're asking. Can this estate have the right to decide ethically and morally what movie James Dean wants to be in? And like there's so many implications about living actors. Well, now we're just going to use dead images and buy rights the way we do for music. Screw the rest of you living people.
Yeah, and what's interesting is this also brings today. I'm trying to open up the image, but there was something really fascinating from people don't remember. Back to the Future 2 happened with Crispin Glover, and Crispin Glover played the dad, and then they made Back to the Future 2, and he didn't want to be in the sequel. So that what they did was they used old footage of him from the first movie, and then they casted a look-alike to sort of be in makeup, older, and they sort of tricked the audience to think that it was Crispin Glover in the movie. And he sued, and he won, and he beat, and SAG, they created a bunch of like rules for SAG and stuff where you couldn't like reuse footage into a whole nother movie and then mislead the audience to make it seem like he's in the movie. And so that makes sense because Crispin Glover is alive and can control his estate and his vision and say, I don't want to be in that movie. I didn't give them the rights to that. I should get paid if I'm going to be in that movie. But what's crazy now is after death.
In the movie, and then you inserted me in. It's such an ugly precedent for forged videos because, we're talking about deep fakes and video proofs. Like the only thing we have left that's like believable. Although, like last year, there was like a fake video showing a missile launch from like North Korea. You remember that? Yeah,
I mean, but I'm just more the fact that this new company has 1,700 personalities that they can't wait to open up their clients to. It's just like, whoa! It just it makes my skin crawl.
So creepy.
Nelson Mandela brought back to. I mean, even if it's educational, I don't care. That seems weird. And who's in charge? Who gets to make the call as to whether his image gets to be there? Because at some point, some heir is going to be like, oh, really? You want to give me $1 million to put my great granddad in a Frosted Flakes commercial? It only takes a certain amount of time before that can get exploited.
Well, you said who makes that decision? Whoever has the money makes that decision,
right?
Because money controls all of it. Anything you want to know the answer to anything, it's follow the money.
Right.
So, my dad used to say, everyone has a price. So even Nelson Mandela's, 7th generation grandchild probably has a price for putting him on a box of frosted mini wheats.
And it's true. Reality is like, I don't care. If I'm I'm saying it now. I want my kids to have control. They can make whatever they want. That's what it's for. But what makes me frustrated is like 10, 12, 20 generations later, when they don't really care about me, they're just getting the paycheck. That's when it starts to get a little worrisome for people, and I could see that. It's like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, all these actors who have these iconic roles. Like, can Arnold now say, you know what, kids, make Terminator movies as long as you want, go for it, because they've scanned him already. His CGI, thing exists.
And then what happens when the estate now? Trust me, as an attorney, I see more fights over states than anyone else, than any other brand. People are always fighting over money. So now you're going to give them, some sister and brother start fighting not just over money, but on who owns the rights to dad.
Right. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And because not every kid's going to agree. They're like, no, but wait, there's money. No, it's just so anyway, fascinating story. I'm glad we got to talk about it because I don't think this is going to be the end of it. We're going to hear this for a while, and there's going to start being, and there better be bigger conversations. And I hope actors are starting to step up and be like, whoa. Who controls my future digital rights?
And
how do I clean that up?
I mean, does your dead image belong to SAG? That's such another. Now you have a whole other issue.
Well, I mean, it does for the movies, right? It's like your likeness of certain characters are technically owned. Like you could take the Rocky and use the Rocky footage to do something. It's also I would imagine each actor contract dependent, whatever they sort of agree to. Some of these actors sign their lives away, especially in some early Marvel movies and stuff. They want to just be famous, so they own the likeness to put on toys for whatever long reason. So it is pretty terrifying how I don't know if they have I'm sure some of them have expiration dates too, you'd think, or clauses to sort of re-up the good actors.
I mean, it's super scary, but Andy, you're a movie guy, so if it means David Bowie can play Star-Lord in the next Guardians of the Galaxy, let's see how it goes.
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know if I want that. I mean, that's so scary. That's where it's so ethically and morally, it's going to get really hairy. And this one's really crazy because even with the family approval, I'm sorry. This is going to be mocked and ridiculed, and people are going to frown down upon this tremendously. But I'm also very curious to see how the hell they go about it, so I can be.
I know it's kind of fascinating from a hybrid standpoint, and also just terrifying.
Ugh. Well, fascinating conversation. Thank you for the insight. Everybody go support Lindsay. You can go to LindsayGlazer.com. Check her out. She's on tour. Go catch her show. She got some coming up. And Twitter and Facebook, everything. Lindsay Glazer on Twitter. Lindsay Glazer Comedy on Facebook. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Everybody go give her some love. Thank you so much for joining me, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me. I'll talk to you soon, Andy.
Yeah, and everybody watching, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and you can follow me on Instagram at Andy Signor. Hit that subscription button, and I will be back soon, so stay tuned. Thanks, everybody. Bye.